Hi there, Perfecto Castro here and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. I'm very happy and proud to announce that Apogee Digital has signed on to be a channel sponsor. So in this video, I am going to remix my intro song using all Apogee plugins. Here we go. For those who are not familiar, Apogee is one of the very top brands as far as audio recording goes, from audio interfaces to plugins. So to kick off my relationship with the company, I'm going to use all their plugins in remixing my intro song. From the signature plugins of mixing maestro Bob Clearmountain, to the Apogee effects rack, to the plugin versions of the industry standard Pultec equalizers, which are the only officially licensed and endorsed plugins by Pulse Techniques. Oh, and before I forget, Apogee is running a 4th of July sale on their web store from June 29th to July 6th, 2021. You'll get 40% off all their plugins and up to 50% off all factory refurbished hardware. So go check out the link in the video description. Now, if you're watching this at a later date and the sale has already passed, then the link will convert into an affiliate link. So I will get a small commission from anything you buy from this link, and that will help me keep making these videos for everybody to enjoy. Okay, let me switch into my Logic project view and we will dive right into the remix. Okay, now we are here in my Logic project. You can see the tracks on top and my mixer in the bottom. And also, needless to say, for the rest of this video, please try to listen through a good set of speakers or at least some headphones or a nice pair of earbuds. That way you can hear everything nice and clear. Now for the project itself, there's not a lot of tracks. I have a drum track right here, the bass, and 3 guitar tracks. A dirty rhythm track, an overdriven track that plays mostly chords in the upper register, and finally the lead guitar track. And for what my intro song is, this is pretty much all I need. So for reference, I'm going to disable all the plugins first, right? And I will let you hear the raw tracks by themselves. So I always do my best to record everything nicely with great level and the basic tone already embedded in the tracks. That way I don't have to do much fixing when I'm mixing stuff. Let's start with the drums. I'm going to solo the drums. I'm just basically using Logic's, session drummer. And I'm using a producer kit. That way I have control over every single track for each drum part. Okay, so here it is expanded. Again, it's a short piece of music, so there's not much happening. Pretty much all we need is the kick, the snare, and the overheads, and the hi-hat. Okay, so let's start with the kick drums first. So for the kick, I have 2 basic tracks, a kick inside and a kick outside. Now Logic's drum samples already sound good, so anything that we add to it will just sweeten it. Okay, so what I did here, I added the Apogee Mod EQ, and as you can see, I high-passed everything above 34 Hertz just to clear up the low end, and I boosted around 1300 Hertz to give it a little more snap. So the main reason why I'm rolling off the really low end is because we are going to get that from the kick out mic. And here's how that sounds. So it's all just dull, muffled, all low end. But when combined with the other track, we get a nice full kick drum. And then from there, I sent it to a parallel bus, which I called Punch. So for the punch track, I have another Apogee effects rack with a mod EQ with the lows rolled off and a boost on the 750 Hertz region. Okay, gentle wide boost there, as well as a mod comp which is set to a very compressed sound. So this is how that sounds. So that is pretty much all mid-range and really compressed and not very dynamic. And the purpose for this is just to fill in the mid-range of the kick so that it punches through. Now with everything engaged, this is all the kick. Okay, so, and you will hear that effect with the entire drum set in a little bit. Okay, now I have two snare tracks, a snare top mic and a snare bottom mic. Now for the top mic, I strapped on another Apogee effects rack, and within that rack, I have the Pultec program equalizer and the mod compressor. So for the Pultec equalizer, I pretty much used the Bob Clearmountain Pultec snare setting with a boost on the 100 hertz and another boost on the 5 kilohertz with a wide bandwidth. So this gives the snare a lot more snap. So without, with, and I just strapped on a little compressor just to take care of the transients. Okay, now let's go to the snare bottom. So the snare bottom is pretty much just the strings and rattle and high end. And again, I have an Apogee effects rack strapped onto it in the plugins. So with the mod EQ, pretty much everything under 150 hertz are rolled off. And I'm boosting the high treble range as well as the low mids just to give it a little more muscle. There you go. And together with the top mic, okay, so there is that. Now, I'm also adding a little bit of effects to the snare because as it is, it sounds good, but it doesn't sound like a polished recording. So I'm sending it to an effects bus, bus 2, and on bus 2, we have an instance of the Clearmountain's domain. And I'm using the Born in the USA snare preset. Okay, so that is dry. And now wet. Now soloed, it sounds like there's a lot of effects on it, but once you hear everything together, you'll find that it's just there to lift the part up and make it more audible, and it's not really drowned in effects. Okay, so it's nice stereo spread, and you can hear it, you know, just decay quite nicely in a way that's pleasing to the ears. Okay, so for the overheads, I have just one plugin, the mod EQ, with the lows rolled off, everything under 160 hertz, and I'm boosting the highs, everything above 6,000 hertz. So without, with. So it just gives a little more sizzle to the cymbals and also gets rid of the low-end information so it doesn't fight with the other tracks. Okay, now let's hear the drums on their own. Just a little simple EQ tweaks and it sounds quite polished already. Now for the drum bus, I also have an Apogee effects rack tied onto it as well, with the mod EQ giving a general boost in the lows and the highs with a slight dip in the mids, just to leave room for the other instruments. So without and with, it just further cleans up the frequencies. Oh, before I forget, that is also followed by an opto compressor. This is my favorite type of compressor. Now, the thing I like most about this type of compressor is that while it compresses the sound, it does not squish the life out of it. So without and with. Okay, so that takes care of that. Okay, so next let's go to the bass. And just for this song, I used the MIDI bass using the stock Logic sounds. It's not an involved bass part anyway, and when everything is happening at the same time, you will not even recognize that it is a MIDI bass. So first up, it goes into a bass amp. Just one of the stock Logic bass amps. And then from there, I tighten things up using the Apogee mid-range equalizer. It just brings out more of the growl of the bass, and it ties it nicely with the rhythm guitar. Okay, so next up is the dirty rhythm guitar, and here's what that sounds like. Now, when I recorded this, I may have gone overboard with the low-end information. So I strapped on another Apogee effects rack, and in the rack, I used both types of Pultec EQs. So first is the Pultec mid-range equalizer. So it just gives a more present energy to the mid-range. And then the second Pultec plugin is the program equalizer, which takes care of the highs and the lows. So for the program equalizer, I attenuated the low end at around 100 Hertz. And then I boosted the high end at around 3K or 3 kilohertz. That way the guitar gets a little more present. Okay, so this ties everything quite nicely. So let's listen to what we have so far. Drums, bass, and dirty rhythm guitar. Okay, so my next track is an overdriven guitar part playing the upper strings. So I want that to cut through a little more, so I used the Apogee Symphony ECS channel strip, basing it off of the scooped electric guitar preset. So there's a little bit of EQ, slight compression, and a saturation. The saturation lets the guitar cut through the track. At the same time, it sits it down within the track. It's it's a great tool. Okay, so let's listen to what we have so far. Okay, so everything is nice and balanced. You can hear the snare, you can hear the kick, you can hear the cymbals, you can hear both guitars, you can hear the bass. I also added one more thing to this overdriven guitar part, and I'm sending it to an effects bus with another instance of the Clearmountain domain. And this time I'm using the Need You Guitar Tonight delay preset, which I already tweaked. The presets are great because they are definitely usable, and they make for a good springboard so that you can start making it your own. So in this case, I have the effects panned all the way to the opposite speaker. So the main guitar is on the left speaker, the effects will be on the right. So here it is. And with the rest of the instruments. Okay, so it just fills in everything quite nicely. Okay, finally we get to the last part, the last track, and that is the lead guitar part. Now for the intro song that you've been hearing for the past year, I used my Headrush gig board for all the guitar tones. For this version, I decided to re-record the lead guitar using my brand new signature distortion pedal, the Bad 94. I have a full demo walkthrough of this pedal on my channel, so just click on the card above to go check that out. Now, if I remember it right, I ran the Bad 94 into my Rev D20 amp, and I used a delay of some sort. I forget which. Sometimes it's all a blur. But that is what is on the basic track. Okay, so since this is the lead instrument, I am going to treat it as the focal point of the entire track. And to give it that treatment, I use the Apogee Symphony ECS channel strip. So cleared up some of the frequencies, especially in the presence and the high end. I tucked some of the lows down, and I compressed it just a little bit, just so that it goes to the front of the mix. So now with the rest of the instruments, we have this. Okay, so it's already cutting through, but it still needs something a little bit extra, just so that it becomes the lead instrument. what I did was I'm going to send it to an effects bus where I have another instance of Clearmountain's domain. And this is the generic guitar solo preset. Okay, so without Clearmountain's domain. Now with. Okay, so it sounds like there's a ton of effects, but I assure you, once it is sitting inside the track, you'd barely hear the effects at all. And all they do is lift the part so that it becomes the main focal point. Okay, so let's listen to what we have so far. It's amazing because I don't even have to boost the volume of the lead part. As you can see, this is the fader right here, right there, and it's even lower than some of the other parts. And it's cutting nice and through, and you can hear everything else. Okay, now to finish this off, I also added some of the Apogee plugins to the output bus. So first up, I have a Symphony ECS channel strip again, and I'm using the Mix Bus Crunchy preset, which I tweaked for this track by lowering the drive and the output level, just so that it's not as crunchy. Okay, so this is without, and this is with. Okay, so a little bit of EQ to clear up the highs and the lows, a slight compression, not too much because we're compressing it again later on, and the little bit of drive or saturation gives more energy to the track. So next up is the Apogee Pultec Program EQ, which again I've used to take care of the low end and the high end. So pretty much the Symphony ECS takes care of the mid-range and the Pultec takes care of the highs and the lows. So without, with, okay, so you get clearer highs and a fuller low end without muddying everything up. In fact, it sounds really nice and clear. Okay, so that takes care of the output bus. For those of you who are eagle-eyed, you can see I have another plugin right here, and this is not by Apogee. This is the Isotope Ozone 9 Elements plugin, which I am just using for the imaging and maximizer, just so that when I bounce this track, it will be ready to drop into my video editing project. Okay, so let me engage that. And that's it. Okay, now I'm going to play the old mix and the new mix back to back so that you can hear the differences. Here we go. Okay, there you have it. That is my intro theme song remixed using Apogee plugins. And again, I'd like to remind everyone that Apogee is having a 4th of July sale from June 29th to July 6th, 2021 on their web store. You'll get 40% off all these plugins and up to 50% off factory refurbished hardware. So click on the link in the description to go check it out. And if you're watching this at a later date, the link will convert into an affiliate link so that you can help support this channel when buying from it. Okay, there you have it. What do you think about the remix? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, if you dug this video, please give it a thumbs up like, hit subscribe if you haven't yet, and don't forget to ring that bell. Now go grab your guitar and play something. You all know the drill. Practice makes perfecto. Cheers, guys.